It was short, it was swift. It was like one of those takeaway joints. You just walk in, flash your credit card, take what you want, go away. It was a bit like that on day three of this test match in Adelaide. And Adam Gilchrist will join me for that. I must remember not to say Adam Gilly. I must remember not to say Adam. You told me what happens last time. Very predictable eventually, Gilly. We spoke last evening, but it pretty much went to script. I mean, the only way India could have made a match of it was if Rishabh Pant hung in long enough, or rather blasted in long enough. But that wasn't to be. I thought pretty impressive once again from Nitish Reddy. It just doesn't seem to have enough time to build a partnership. And then once the lead was only 19, it was a matter of time, really. So pretty much as you expected it, Gilly.
Oh, well, I was hoping for more. I was hoping for a partnership between the two not out players from overnight, but Mitchell Starc put an end to that. It was a beautiful delivery. I don't think Rishabh Pant did a great deal wrong. He had to play at the ball that he played at, and it just caught the outside edge. So I just felt like as soon as that happened, the inevitable was going to turn up. It was a likely result at the start of the day, but we just hoped we could have seen a little bit more entertainment and a little bit of fight from the back half of the Indian lineup. But as I say, you just got to tip your hat to the Australians. It was the best response you could possibly hope for after being demoralised in Perth. They came back here and dealt the perfect hand.
About Starc a great deal after this game is over. We'll talk a lot, as we already have, about Travis Head. I thought one of the biggest pluses for Australia was that Pat Cummins looked a little underdone, and we talked about that. He looked a little underdone in Perth. So he was back to his fiery best, bowling that back of a length, getting the ball to rear up, bowling those wicket bouncers. Was that one of the biggest pluses for Australia? Picked up another five for Gilly?
Yeah, Pat himself said he didn't feel that bad in Perth, and he felt that the
Mm.
scoreboard didn't reflect exactly where the Australians were in Perth. But on paper, it was a crushing loss. So they went away and they thought a lot about it. With so much time in between test matches, there was a lot of introspection and a lot of, well, I wouldn't say soul searching. They don't panic, this group. And they said, no, we just need to reflect on what we can improve on, typical sort of language. And they backed themselves to come out. And Cummins, I do think, Harsha, his celebrations of wickets in the first innings were a little bit more animated than typically that they are. Not over the top, not ridiculous and out of control, but certainly a lot more passion and just fire in the eyes and the clenched fists of every wicket. So I do think it meant that little bit more after some stinging criticism. And they dealt in the best currency, and that's a compelling 10-wicket victory. So, yeah, a big plus for Cummins. He's now into the groove. Starc continues on his merry way. From a bowling point of view, and the addition of Boland, he was outstanding as well. Nathan Lyon, 1 over for the whole test.
No, can you imagine 1 over for Nathan Lyon? And that tells you just how fast Test cricket's moving. There's another Test match happening just, as the Aussies like to call it, across the ditch. And that ended pretty emphatically in 3 days too. Cricket's moving much faster. But I mean, I'm spare a thought for Scott Boland. I think he did everything right. And he's not going to get a game again, is he?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. These little side injuries that fast bowlers can pick up. And Hazlewood himself's picked these up before. And what started out as a 10-day rest period turned into the whole season. So we'll wait and see what happens. Talking to Josh Hazlewood yesterday morning, he said, I've already had a bowl and I'm pretty confident I'll be back. So you would think that means Boland makes way. You feel for him, but he just plugs in when he gets unplugged. When he comes back in, he plugs in and the setting's all the same, isn't it? Like the ball machine. It's just doesn't take him any length of time to get the speed up, the accuracy up, and he absolutely played a significant part in Australia getting themselves back to a 1-1.
I mean, what more can you want from someone who, say, just plugs in gets a wicket first ball in the first innings, oversteps, comes back, gets a wicket first ball in the second innings. So Australia's bowling, no problem at all. Even if Hazelwood comes back, you know that if there's an injury, there's a niggle somewhere, someone like a bowler will just plug in straight away. So from the bowling point of view, Australia, no problem. There's just one bright spot for India late in this game. I've now seen him bat 4 times at test match level, and every single time he's looked like he's belonged. I think he's pretty compact in defense. He's good batting off the front foot down the ground, and he's absolutely at home when the game shifts into T20 mode. I thought that 6 that Nitish Reddy hit today, it was just as if to say, what's the big deal about? I belong here. And it's interesting, Gilly. I was doing commentary with Kerry O'Keefe, and then I popped across on the radio box to Sunny Gavaskar. Both of them think that he's going to find his home at number 6 for India, and maybe play as a third seamer, if you're required somewhere, if you're playing 2 spinners. But everyone seems to think he's going to be a batting all rounder.
Yeah, he's looked every inch Test cricketer in everything he's been asked to do. He's picked up a couple of wickets across the 2 Test matches, but he's batting. I think you've described it perfectly, Harsha. It's very sound defence, but then it can very quickly flip over to offence. Oh, he's every inch a Test cricketer. I think everything that's been asked of him. Lovely partnership with Virat over there in Perth. Provided that bit of resistance today, and just his stroke play, he's based on a sound defence, but then quickly flips it into offence whenever he needs to. And I think he's looked very calm, composed, and if he is required in the team for an extended period, he'll go up a little bit higher than where he's been at the moment in the batting order.
We got about the pink ball test itself. I mean, I was talking very briefly to Ravichandran Ashwin, and he said they just know how to play pink ball cricket. They've played so much more than us. They understand the pink ball game better. I mean, India have only ever played 4 test matches pink ball. 3 of those were back in India. The last one was 3 years ago. Was that the big difference between the 2 sides, or just did Australia outplay India more than the advantage of knowing how to play pink ball cricket would suggest?
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference of playing pink ball versus red ball? I guess it's executing the skills when it's starting to swing. I think that's probably the main thing. Mitchell Starc, he averages down around 16 in pink ball cricket, and certainly at the Adelaide Oval. And that's because it seems to swing for him, swings later into the innings with a natural swing, not reverse swing. 20, 25, 30 overs, he's still getting it to hoop. So that's he's certainly mastered the craft of getting that on track and being able to affect wonderful results. And then from a batting point of view, maybe Travis Head had the right idea, that counter punch, that attacking flair, and Australia in general were trying to be a bit more proactive. But I don't know what the different styles of cricket are between red and pink ball, but what I'll say is I do think it's a tough ask for touring teams to come here, and it's a regular feature on the calendar now. Every test series there's going to be a pink ball test, and all indications are that's a huge advantage to Australia, who have had more experience at it. So that might be something that'll be negotiated by touring teams down the track, but at the moment it's set in stone, and Australia, they've executed their skills brilliantly.
If you're in the Indian change room, are you worried about the 2 champions? About Rohit, Virat, about their form? I know Virat's just coming off a century, but when you're Virat Kohli, as you know, Gilly, throughout your career as well, when you build a reputation, the expectations rise. But Rohit, I thought just looked underdone. Rohit, I've never seen Rohit struggle so much, because he's such an easy batter on the eye. Is there a problem with the seniors?
No, I wouldn't say it's a problem at the moment. Rohit looked a little bit out of sorts, but he was going back into a position he hasn't batted in for 6 years. And I understand the methodology or the theory behind it. It was pretty compelling, that opening partnership over in Perth. So they wanted to stay with KL Rahul and Jaiswal at the top. But I would be suggesting get Rohit back to the top of the order and just let him go back out in familiar circumstances. Like what we said of Pat Cummins in Perth, he'll be better for the run. He'll be better for the experience. He's back in the groove now by way of being in and around the team. I think there's been a lot going on in Rohit's life, and coming back in and joining after such a record victory. It'll be a more settled unit back up at the Gabba, and his leadership. And I think he can lead from the front. He can lead in that familiar position that he's led very well for across all formats.
Before we let you go 3 days early to meet your family all the way westward to Perth, we've got to put you in the hot spot briefly. So here we go. It's 1-1. Who's ahead, Gilly? 1-0 after Perth, 1-1 after here. Is it like a five-setter where there's big serve and volleys, or maybe more like too many service breaks happening? But who's ahead in this series as we go to Brisbane?
It's advantage Australia, I think, because I think they and probably everybody, if you're really trying to be balanced about your perspective, I think everyone will feel that it was a surprise result in Perth, and Australia now with their momentum, and Marnus getting himself to a 50, so he'll feel more settled, and he's going back to a ground that he's very familiar with, his home ground. Travis Head on this role, and that bowling unit. I think just given Australia's history at home, and I say this knowing full well that they haven't beaten India the last 2 times they've matched up in Australia, but I just think it's just advantage Australia at the moment. But I mean, where's Mohammad Shami? Where's he at? Is he is he at the airport yet? I'd be getting him straight over and saying, we'll monitor you from here, even if it's not playing in Brisbane. Just get him in around, let the Aussies see him and know that he may be coming very, very soon, if indeed he's close at all. So, yeah, just advantage Australia.
Yeah, he's done a lot of bowling, Gilly. How much bowling is enough bowling? He's bowled a lot in practice. He's played one first-class game. He's picked up 7 wickets. He's played all 8, or played all 7 of the Mushtaq Ali T20 trophy. I know that's very different kind of bowling, but he's got 27 overs behind him there. Word is, I read a newspaper report that his kit is already on the way. And that'll mean he's not too far away. My feeling is, and I'd love to know what you think. We are what? Today we're on the 8th. If he's here by the 10th, bowls 11th, 12th, 13th, good to go on the 14th? Or as some people are suggesting, wait till the Boxing Day test?
Well, yeah, speculating from a great distance, it's hard to know. Sounds like he's got a lot of bowling under his belt, so it would just be minor settling in, whether it's sort of a jet lag thing or just getting the body moving again after flying out here. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's the workload issue now, to just be knowing if you're fresh enough and ready to go. But if he's even remotely close, I'd be getting him in there, because I think that'll help even just the mindset of Jasprit Bumrah, who looked like he was tinkering on the edge at one point. Obviously didn't have to bowl again in that second innings, really. He bowled the token 1 over just to open proceedings, but was quickly out of there. So yeah, I'd be hearing anecdotally all those results that you spoke about. I'd be attempting to get him into the starting 11. Don't let Australia get an advantage of one more game under their belt before you introduce him. If he's ready to go, play him.
I know we talked briefly about Rohit, Kohli, and just one other fact. You've been a batter at the highest level. You analyze. Do you see a pattern to Kohli's dismissals? Can he do anything different? Because at his level, he doesn't need to hit more balls in the nets. He doesn't need to hit more balls on the sidearm. He's done all that before. Can you, even at the level that you played at, can you get a little clutter in the mind? Is that what it is? Does he just need to say, all gone?
You can. I mean, no doubt you can get cluttered. That's the biggest battle. Often not with what's coming towards you from the bowler or the skill of the opposition. It's more the battle between your ears. So not suggesting that Virat scrambled in any sense, but maybe he's got to try and home in on what Sachin Tendulkar did at the SCG and say, right, I'm not going to go out and chase anything outside off stump. You come to me. You just play the patience game. He's got enough experience under his belt to know that he's mentally tough. He's carried the weight of expectation since under 18 level, under 19 level, entering the IPL and becoming the icon that he is. He should be able to say to himself, I'm going to do what's right within my capacity to do the best thing for the team. And if it's a long, patient game, so be it. You play long enough, you're probably going to have to evolve in different ways. And this might be an opportunity for Virat to do that.
It's hard to be Virat Kohli because everything you do is subject to 20 cameras. It's almost like the Truman Show. Everyone's watching you all the time. So we'll wait and see, because if he does well, if he gets runs, it's just such a good series for India. And hopefully by the time we go to Brisbane, water will have flown under the Torrens, or what's the river in Brisbane that flows through around there? Much water flowing under there as well. Siraj and Travis head go out and have a meal. Maybe Siraj buys the biryani. Travis can buy the beer. Siraj won't have it. And then they'll all be happy going into Brisbane. Great, Gilly. Hope you catch your flight, and we'll catch up in Brisbane.
Yeah, it is the Brisbane River indeed, and it does flow aggressively at times. So I don't think the aggression and passion is going to dissipate at all up at the Gabba. Can't wait for it.
Cheers. It's a long way back from Adelaide to Perth, so we let Gilly go. I just did that flight before this test match. Good 2 hours, 45 minutes, 3-hour flight. So we let him go. But I think we still need to ponder a while on a couple of issues that are facing India. Now, India had a great win in Perth, 295. Gilly was absolutely spot on when he said that win was a little unexpected. Australia were favourites there. Australia were favourites here. India did fantastic there. India couldn't quite do as well here. I go along with Gilly. I think Rohit Sharma's got to go back to the top of the order, but you have to be very clear in your messaging to KL Rahul about where he needs to be. He can't just be a little spare tire, up, down, up, down, up, down. So Rohit Sharma, I believe, has to lead from the front and go back to the top of the order. He's got 5 or 6 games, so he can play himself in over there. And it'll be curious. I'm curious to know. It'll be interesting to know what they do with someone like a Harshit Rana, because he was impressive in the first innings, just tailed off in the second innings at Perth. Didn't have a good match. Sure, that can happen to anybody, only his second test match. Do they go with promise and give him a third test match in Brisbane, where his bustling, bouncy style will be very good? Or do they say, no, let's go back to Akashdeep, who should have been playing here in the first place, and see if he can move the ball around? I remember Australia used to pick Andy Bickle to play at Brisbane. He used to bowl a lovely length. He was a little bigger built maybe than Akashdeep, but he used to bowl a lovely length. And I think Akashdeep, skiddier, Bickle was a little like that, skiddier. He'll bowl a lovely length. So I won't be surprised if Akashdeep comes back. I thought Ashwin bowled beautifully. So the funny thing is, India are going to go to Brisbane on the back of, effectively, to use the tennis parallel, having had their service broken twice or thrice, but they're not going to have too many more changes, no more than 1 or 2 changes. The same group that will have to do better, but I expect a lot more from Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli as the leaders, show the way. If India win in Brisbane, if India go 2-1 up, they're winning the series. If India go 1-2 down, then it's going to be tricky. My gut feel is Brisbane is the make or break test.